All right, so here we go. So listen up, guys. Section 1.1a. We skipped this chapter to begin with because a lot of times it's better for us to kind of move into the algebraic portion, and then eventually we go back into the statistics portion. So that's why we kind of wait for this. But we're going to talk about box and whiskers in a second. But first, let's discuss some definitions here, okay? So, given a set of data, or I guess some people will say data, but given a set of data, so they'll give you a bunch of numbers, right? First thing you guys should do, okay, is organize the numbers from least to greatest. All right, so that's the very first thing you guys are going to want to do. Organize the numbers from least to greatest. So that's not that hard, but it can be a little bit annoying because if you guys look at the problems that you guys have, you have 1 through 6. They didn't just give you like 5 numbers. They gave you a lot of numbers. So that can be a bit of a hassle, but not terribly difficult, okay? So first thing, organize numbers. 2, find the mean, okay? And the mean is basically to find the average of the values, okay? So that means average of the data. Now there is a formula for it. So you're going to add all the data and you're going to divide by the number of data points. So I'll give you an example of that in a bit, okay? But this is how you find your mean. So if you had like 10 numbers that they gave you, you're going to add all the 10 numbers and then divide by 10 because that's how many numbers there were, okay? If there were 6 numbers, you'll add all 6 numbers on top and then divide by 6 because that's how many numbers there were, right? There were 6 different numbers. So you're going to add all the data that they give you and divide it by the number of data points. So however many of those things there were, that's what you're going to divide by. So that's how you find your mean. The next thing they're going to have you do is they're going to have you find the median. Okay, and the median, this is the number in the middle of an organized data set. In other words, once you organize your numbers from smallest to largest, you're going to look for the number in the center. Okay? So we'll talk about that in a bit, but you're going to look for the number in the center, and that's going to be your median. Now, if you guys remember, sometimes there is no number in the middle, so what you have to do is find the average of the 2 numbers closest to the middle. So we'll talk about that too, okay? So we'll do an example for those things. But there's no formula for median, it's just find the number in the middle, okay? And the last thing that they're going to probably have you do is to find the mode. Okay, and the mode is pretty easy. This is the number or numbers that occur the most. Now it could be multiple numbers, okay? It could be 2 numbers that occur like 4 times each, or maybe there's 3 numbers that occur 8 times each. The only thing that the median cannot be is that if all the numbers occur once, that's not called a mode, okay? If all the numbers occur once, that's not considered a mode. It must occur more than once, okay? So actually, if I could put at the end, instead of putting a period here, if I can say the number or numbers that occur the most, I'm going to put more than once. Okay, there is no maximum number of times it can occur, but there is a minimum. It should be 2 or more. Okay. So let me just show you really quick an example like this, and then we'll kind of move on. Now make them small. That way we don't spend too much time and hopefully not need a calculator to do it. We'll see. But let's do, here's my data set. 1, 3, 4, 2, and 5. Okay, now I did that on purpose just so that we can go through the organization step. Okay, but if they ask you, for example 1, to find the mean, median, and mode, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to ask us to find the mean, median, and mode. So find the mean, median, and mode. So here we go. First thing you're going to do is organize them. I gave us a really simple thing because I don't want to spend forever trying to find all the numbers. Organize, this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, great. That wasn't that hard, right? Now, finding the mean. To find the mean, I'm going to add all the numbers. And then I'm going to divide by the number of data. So the number of data, there's a total of 5 of them, okay? So what do we get? 6 and 6, that's 12, 13, 14, 15. This is 15 over 5. So my mean is 3. That's all you got to do to find your mean. To find your median, you're going to look at the numbers and find the number in the middle. Well, this number right here is in the middle, right? There's 2 numbers to the left of it. There's 2 numbers to the right of it. So your median is going to be 3. Okay? Let me change that to red here. So your median is going to be 3. So that's done. Now the mode. Is there a number listed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that occurs more, greater than or equal to 2 times? No, they all just happen once. So you're going to put none. Okay, right now I'll make sure that a mode comes out and that our median is not so easy to spot. Okay, but here's an easy problem where we were able to find the mean, median, and mode just based on organizing the data, using that data to find our answers. Okay. It's not meant to be a difficult question, and sure, if you look at your homework, they have like 872 and 888 and 895. Just use a calculator. Okay, don't freak out because the numbers are big. Use your calculator. Okay, even if they have decimals like number 4, who cares? Just use your calculator. All right, so you can do it in your head if you want to, but it might be easier just to use your calculator. Now, let's do example 2 really quick, and then we're going to move on to the box and whiskers stuff, because that's really the thing they want you guys to remember and know how to do. So let's see. We'll do like 4, 7, 9, 16, 12, 4, 8, and I guess we can stop there. No, I need to do one more. Another number 4 here. And I want to find the mean, median, and mode. Again, it's not supposed to be anything that's supposed to mess you up because it's so hard to do. It's just a little tedious at times. So we start off with the smallest numbers. We got 4, 4, and 4. So I'm going to kind of cross them out right here. Or maybe I'll underline them. That way I know that I already did those. My next number in order would be a 7, an 8, and a 9. And then a 12 and a 16. And that's it. I put them all in order. Okay? Now let's find the mean. So for the mean, I'm going to do 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 12 plus 16. And I'm going to divide it by which number? By 8, right? Yeah, that's how much I have. So we'll do division by 8 here. So 4 plus 4 plus 4, I'm just going to do this by hand here. We're going to get 12. 7 plus 8, that's 15. 9 plus 12, that's 21. And then we have a 16 there. I'm just adding chunks, okay? Let's see. 12 plus 15, that's 27. And 21 plus 16, that's 37. Divided by 8. And 27 plus 37, that's going to be 64. Divided by 8 happens to be 8. Well, that's good. I'm kind of happy about that because I just made these numbers up, so I didn't know what they were going to come out to. So that's nice that it came out to a nice number. If it doesn't and it's a decimal, so be it. It's a decimal. Okay? So there's my mean. Mean is usually the hardest one to do, or let me not say hardest one, but the one that takes longest to do. Okay? So now the median. The number in the middle, if I can highlight these, look, 4 numbers to the left, 4 numbers to the right. My median should be right there, but there's no number. So what you do is you find the average of the numbers closest to the median. So 7 and 8 are the two numbers closest to that green line, right? So what I'm going to do is do 7, whoops, wrong thing, 7 plus 8, and I'm going to divide by 2 because I'm finding the average of those two numbers, right? So I'm dividing by 2 because that's how many numbers I'm adding together, okay? So 7 plus 8, that's 15, and 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So that's my median, okay? The number that's supposed to be in the middle if it was there. For us, it wasn't, so we figure it out that way. Bless you, okay? Now, our mode. Which number occurs the most? The 4, so then we're done, okay? So when you guys do questions 1 through 6, I know there's 6 problems, but honestly, it's not that big a deal, okay? It's easy work to do. You're just adding them together, dividing, etc., okay? So, I mean, you look at the problem that they had you do in this one, right? They had, they had 34 numbers listed for us, right? So they divided by 34. So I didn't want to do anything that big. It's not like it's any different. There's just 34 numbers, okay? So anyway, let's move on because the backside is kind of the part where I want to focus on for you guys, okay? So let's talk about box and whiskers. Now, doing box and whisker plots is really no different from what we just did right now. But the thing is, usually you have to like label things in certain places, and you have to know, what this means and what that means, etc. So let's talk about definitions for box and whiskers. Okay. Now, normally a box and whiskers plot is going to look something like this. Now, there'll be a couple of points, okay? So I'm not going to label this. I'm just drawing this for now, just for the purposes of it looking relatively normal. But I'm not going to label the points. But normally it looks something like this. And we'll talk about how we find this information and stuff like that, and how is it that we build this box. But normally a box and whiskers plot looks like this. Okay, it contains 5 points. So let's write that down right here for you. Okay, it has 5 main points. Okay, those main points are called, okay, so we're going to call the median. Okay, so we're going to do the median. We're going to have the lower quartile, the upper quartile, okay, the minimum and the maximum. That's too many things there. Minimum and a maximum. Now, if I can list them, some of these are pretty obvious. Okay, this point here would be our minimum. This point here would be our maximum. Okay, our median is found here. Okay, now sometimes you might look at your picture that you have. Notice on the picture you guys have, it says first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, but I didn't list that, right? Because the median, for so many people, we call it the median. Some people will call it the second quartile. Okay, so the median, they call the second quartile. The lower quartile, they'll call it the first quartile. And the upper quartile, they'll call it the second quartile. So that's found here. I'm going to call this the upper quartile. And this one will be the lower quartile. You can call it the lower quartile or the first quartile. You can call it the median or the second quartile. You can call it the upper quartile or the third quartile. It's completely up to you. It really matters on the book and on the worksheet that you're using. Okay? Some worksheets will call it first, second, third. Some will call it lower, median, upper. Okay? They all call it minimum, maximum. So don't worry about those two. But the way that they label them could be different based on books, based on worksheets. So make sure you know both. Okay, so whenever I say third quartile, you should think upper. First quartile, lower. Second quartile, that's median. Okay? And the picture will look something like that. All right? So we are given those things. A lot of times they want you to find the range. And if they ask you to find the range, that's basically the difference from maximum to minimum. So they want you to find the range. You're basically going to get your max number and subtract your minimum. That's your range. Okay, take your highest number minus your smallest number. That's going to be your range. Now, it's very important you guys understand. We call them quartiles. Okay? Now, the word quart is how much of a whole? A fourth. So that means every quartile has 1/4 of the information. Okay? Every quartile has 1/4 of the information. So I'm going to kind of mess up the picture really quick and then I'm going to erase it. But I just want you guys to see this. Every quartile has 1/4 of the information. Let me go back up really quick. I'll come back down. That means this has 1/4 of all the data. Then this has 1/4 of all the data. This part has 1/4 of all the data. And this part has 1/4 of all the data. And you might say, wait a minute, those lines don't look like they're the same length. How can you say they're all 1/4? It's containing 1/4 of the data given. So in other words, if we had 8 numbers total, then the first part usually contains the first 2 numbers, and the next part contains the next 2 numbers, and the next part has the next 2 numbers, and the next part has the next 2 numbers. It's 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. They might be really spread out, but it's evenly distributed. Does that make sense? They cut it into like, you'll see it right now, but they'll cut it so that it's always 1/4 of the data for the first part of it, 1/4 of the data for the next part, 1/4 for the next part. and a fourth for the last. And I'm telling you this because this is usually a question they'll give you on a state test. They'll say, like, what percentage of the data is in the first quartile? You're going to say 25%, right? What percentage of the data is in the third quartile? 25%. What percent is in the fourth quartile? 25%. Doesn't matter which quartile, it's 25%. Okay? So let me get rid of those lines because they really don't mean anything besides just helping me point that out. Okay, so every quartile has a fourth of the information. I'm just looking at your picture here to see if there's anything else they want me to mention, but not really. So, okay. So let me give you guys an example here. This is example number 3. I'm going to draw a quick box and whiskers plot for us. We'll start from 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm just going to label these, okay? So it's a pretty large number line, but it's because I'm drawing the box and whiskers plot for us right now, okay? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and we'll go to 31, okay? So I know that's a huge number line, but I'm doing that on purpose because I want to be able to see some stuff. So I'm going to put something at 13 right here. I'll put another dot at, say, 16 and a half. Another dot at 20. Another dot at 23. And the final dot, we'll put it at 27. Okay, now the middle 3 dots, just so you guys know, whenever you have to build one, I'm building one for you. We haven't done like the opposite direction of doing this, but the middle 3 dots always have a vertical line that run through them. So I'm going to do that really quick. And they connect the tops and the bottoms. And then the dots at the end is what creates what they call the whiskers, right? The little things that kind of go out on their own. So right now, that's what I have. Okay, now I'm going to ask some questions and we'll fill in the blanks. Okay, but go ahead and put that in. So I'm going to ask 4 questions for this problem. Let's give you a couple more seconds just to, in case you're drawing it out or something, it's up to you. Yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. If you want to be very sketchy in a sense where you're just going to put the important numbers on there and just draw it, that's fine. I'm just trying to give you a decent picture. So the first question is, what is the median? Okay, and right now we'll answer it. What is the lower quartile? What is the third quartile? And the last one, what percent of the data is between the first quartile and the third quartile? So I'm writing the questions that we're going to answer. And most of these are, actually all of these should be really quick to do. It doesn't take that long. But what is the median? What is the lower quartile? What is the third quartile? Notice I'm switching the vocab, right? That way you can get used to like, okay, third means upper, right? Lower means first, all right? And then what percent of the data is between the first quartile and third quartile? So what's the median? Someone's saying it. Yeah, go ahead. 20, right? All right, good. 20. because median is the dot in the middle, right? What is the lower quartile? 13? No, that's the minimum. 13 is the minimum. 16 and a half, right? 16 and a half. You could put 16, 17 if your drawing was different, it's fine. But it's this one right here. Okay, that's my lower quartile. So I had it at 16 and a half. If it doesn't look like that to you, it's okay. Just whatever number's there. What is my third quartile? 23. Right? So it's going to be the edges of the boxes they call the quartiles. So the 1, 2, 3, so first, second, third, or lower, median, upper, right? And what percent of the data is between the first and the third? So between here to here? 50. Because every piece is 25, right? So that's 25 plus 25. This would be 25%, and this would be 25% over here. There's 25%. So between the first and third, it's 50%. All right, no big deal. That's not that hard to do. Okay. So we already mentioned what they're called, so that's good. So let's actually do one. Okay. Let's do one of these box and whiskers plots. So write, I guess you could say, or plot a box and whiskers plot given. So I'll give you this: 3, 2, 3, 4, 6, 6, and 7. Now remember, you always want to organize this stuff in order because you need to find your median, and in order to find your median, your numbers have to be in order. Okay? So the very first thing you're going to want to do is put these things in order. So let's do that. The first number will be a 2. The next numbers are 3s. So 3, 3. The number after that is 4. After that is a pair of 6s. And after that is a 7. Okay? So great. So right now we're about to do something we haven't had to do yet, but we're about to do the work for finding out our quartiles and stuff like that. All right, let's list stuff that we can list. What is my minimum? 2. All right. What is my maximum? 7. All right, we got that one. Is it easy to find my median? Yeah, what is it? 4, right? It's the number in the middle, the 4. Remember, it has to be in order though. Okay? Because if it's not in order, then maybe you're right or maybe you're wrong, depends on the numbers. So, all right, cool. We found our minimum, we found our maximum, we found our median, but now we got to find our lower quartile and our upper quartile. Or you want to call it first and third, that's fine. Okay, if you want to call the median second, that's fine. Okay, so let me show you. 4 is the middle. That means that your lower quartile is found on the lower side of the numbers, and all you got to do is find your median of the lower numbers. So let me write that down as instructions. Find the median of the lower data. Okay, so what's the median of 2, 3, 3? Yeah. What's the median for 2, 3, 3? 3. So all right, 3. Okay, it's right there. All right. Now to find the upper quartile, you're going to find the median of the upper data. This is why I always prefer calling it lower and upper, because it reminds me lower. Oh, lower means the numbers that are smaller. Upper, the numbers that are bigger, right? The ones to the right side, the upper set. So the uppers are right here, the 6, 6, and 7. So what's the median to 6, 6, and 7? 6. So I'm just going to put 6 right there. Finding the data for boxing whiskers is not that hard, okay? Unless they do what they're going to do with you guys. And not that it's hard, but look, you only have 3 problems. Yay, but how long are those problems? Kind of annoyingly long, right? But it's not going to be like really hard to do. Just got to organize them. That's the worst part. And then from there, just pick your middles, okay? Now, let's go ahead and draw this thing out. Now, people always say, well, how do I know how many numbers to include? Look at your minimum and your maximum. Your minimum is 2, your maximum is 7, so make sure you at least have room from 2 to 7. So I say start from 1 and go up to 8, okay? So here we go. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to go up to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now plot your points, okay? Your minimum is 2, so there's 2. Your maximum is 7, so there's 7. My median is 4, so there it is. My lower quartile is 3, and my upper quartile is 6. Remember what I told you guys about these numbers, okay? Or these dots. The 3 dots found in the middle have vertical lines on them. So vertical line, vertical line, vertical line. Okay? Connect the tops to create the box and the bottoms. And then draw your whiskers. And you're done. That's your box and whiskers plot. It looks like that. Now, I just want to do one more so that you can see what happens when the numbers don't work out as nicely, okay? We're still going to be like 20 numbers, but I'm going to make sure that it's an even number of data so that things don't work out as easy. But before I do that, any questions on this one? So minimum, smallest number, maximum, largest number, median, number in the middle, lower quartile, the median of the bottom set of data, upper quartile, the median of the upper set of data, okay? Then just draw. Just got to draw from there. So last example. Example number 5. By the way, if you think this is super easy, this stuff they give in the like state tests, and a lot of people don't do well in it, which is kind of mind-blowing to us teachers because we're like, it's not that hard, right? You're just finding data. But, you know, for some reason, it's one of those things that people miss a lot. So they gave us this information. Now, thankfully, it was already organized almost for us. Okay? But this is what they gave us. Okay, it's close to being organized. There's a couple of numbers that are out of sync here. So let's go ahead and put them in order. So 1, 2, we got 5 and 6. So 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, and 12. Okay. So let's start with the obvious. I always like starting with the obvious. What's the maximum here? 12. What's the minimum? All right. So those are obvious. Now, the median. The median is supposed to be right here. But it's not there because I have an even number below and an even number after. So remember, the way you find the median is you're going to add and divide by 2, which is 6.5, right? So I'll just show the work really quick. 6 plus 7 over 2, that's 13 over 2, which is 6.5, okay? So the median is 6.5. Now check this out. I'm going to kind of keep that highlight right there because now we're going to do the lower and the upper. Okay, we're going to do the lower and the upper. Now the lower is found here. Okay, the median of 1, 2, 5, and 6. Now notice there is no middle number, but it should be right here. So the way we find it is we're going to add and divide by 2. 2 plus 5 divided by 2. 7 over 2, that's 3.5. Okay? So that's my upper. Whoa, what do I, never mind, my lower. I said upper, that's my lower. Now to find my upper, I'm going to get these numbers over here. Okay? So again, I have 4 numbers. There is no number in the middle. It should be right there. So what I'm going to do is get 9 plus 10 and divide it by 2. So that's 19 over 2. So that should be 9.5. And now that I've done that, I know my range is from 1 through 12, right? I know we didn't ask you that question, but let's figure that out. What's my range for this question? So for the range, you take max minus min, right? 12 minus 1, that's 11. So that's my range, 11. There's 11 units between the smallest to the largest number. All right, let's draw this out. Now, just to make this a little bit smaller, I'm going to go by 2's, okay? So I'm going to start at 0, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's not a 10. That's a 10. 10, 12, 14. Just to make this a little smaller. And we'll just estimate our values. So maximum is 12, so I'm going to put one right there. Minimum is 1, so that's about there. My median is 6.5, so that's going to be about right there. Okay, my lower is 3.5, so that's going to be about right here. And my upper is 9.5, so that's going to be about right here. The three dots in the middle will have vertical lines. So vertical, vertical, vertical. Connect the tops, connect the bottoms, and then draw the whiskers, and you're done. So your homework for today is going to involve the front page, which is just find mean, median, mode. Okay, so hopefully not a big deal. And I know there's more than 6 numbers at times, so like I said, use your calculator. You should be okay. And then on the back page, they're going to want you to do 3 box and whiskers plots, but they gave you an insane amount of data, so organize it. You're going to probably want to do this on a separate sheet of paper, by the way, okay? So just to staple it onto this one. But yeah, just do these, and hopefully you guys do okay. If not, let me know tomorrow. We can work on some of these if we have to, okay? So here we go.